Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of Maximum Octane. Joining me today is my co-host, Mr. Jason Patel, and also joining us today is Brian T. Hammond. And I might be doing weird voices today because I want to talk more like our producer, and it's just so smooth, and I don't think I have that. But so I may be going in and out of voices, and it's all me and not my split personalities. Could be anything. Could be
Right.
anything. So, hi,
Well, I thought we were
Jason.
just gonna dub Aziz is our producer. I thought we were just gonna dub his voice over mine, so that way
We
I
could
have
do
Aziz's
that, but it
voice.
would sound funny if I was. It would sound funny if I was having his voice.
What if all three of us just had Aziz's voice, and so it's just Aziz talking to Aziz talking to Aziz?
That would be amazing.
It would be. And hello, Brian. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing outstanding.
Oof.
All right, that's amazing. So, Brian, we asked Brian to join us today. He is one of our colleagues and one of the newest team members to our ATI family, is one of our newest family members. And we were so excited when he decided to join our family because he brings so much experience in many different things and a positive attitude, and he's a true entrepreneur. I think that's a word that gets thrown out a lot these days, and everybody and their brother thinks they're an entrepreneur, and really, when push comes to shove, they're not. They have all these things they could do if they wanted
Right.
to, but they don't have the drive and the perseverance and the also the ability to pick yourself up. Not every idea an entrepreneur has is a knockout home run and not happens in the first 5 minutes. But what do you do about that? So
Right.
we were excited to have him, and it's just been great to be working with him. So Brian, let's start with, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
Wow, that's a great question. It's coming up with an idea.
Wait, let me say it again. Brian, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
Yes, Kim. I like the idea of being an entrepreneur. No, listen, entrepreneur to me really just means someone who comes up with an idea that is ready for the market and goes out and tests it and keeps improving it until the market either rejects it or accepts it, right? And if they accept it, then you just keep improving on it, but it's really bringing an idea that the market is asking for. To your point, some people have an idea and they come to the market and think people should buy it, but they're not really solving a thing. So you got to be solving something really to become an entrepreneur. So I like the idea of solving something and the market accepts.
I love how you phrase that. It's if the market accepts, right?
Yeah.
So and sometimes the market will not accept, but some entrepreneurs will find a way to make the market accept.
Yeah. You think about the iPad. This is the iPad. Who needs an iPad? Right? Like when they first came out, with Steve Jobs first introduced that thing. Like, no, now you can't live without it.
Right.
So sometimes the market doesn't even know that it needs the thing that you have. And then to your point, Jason, you have to keep pushing to say, hey, you really do need this, and find ways for them to accept it. And then other things, the easier path though is to find a problem that exists and then go solve it. So, but sometimes you can get lucky and pull something to the market, bring something to the market that folks had no idea they needed.
Like the pet rock?
Like the pet rock.
Well, I mean, even ATI. I mean, this is something that a lot of the market does not know that they need. And even if we take ATI out of the equation, just coaching in general.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that you're doing in life, I'm sure that a coach will help you do it better. That's why the top 1% of everything has a coach.
Michael Jordan, throughout his whole career, had a coach. So if Michael, and let's not talk about the debate between LeBron and Michael.
I mean, LeBron is the GOAT, but we'll pass with that.
It all depends on your age group. It all depends on your age group. So I was around when Mike won 3, played baseball for a couple years, came back, won another 3.
I think coined the three-peat, right? That was like the first time I heard the word three-peat.
Exactly. So no, you know what? LeBron is amazing.
Yes.
But he's not Michael. And you think
I agree
about
with that.
right. You think about just off topic of second. people are wearing Jordans, they're
Yes.
not wearing LeBrons.
There's an argument that says LeBron would not be LeBron without the team that he had in place around him and the supporting players. So Michael Jordan didn't have that same team surrounding him. And Michael Jordan is a great example of an entrepreneur in the truest sense of things, because he was somebody that was rejected as an athlete and different things, and he just kept going, and he refused to take no for an answer. He refused to accept that his skills were not good enough, that he couldn't develop and become better and amazing, and just sheer willpower, drive, and determination. He became what he is, whether you buy into the untruths of the LeBron thing or not, but he did it, right. I mean, this was somebody that was rejected, that failed
Right.
over and over and over again, and look at the industry that he built with sneakers. Like, who really needs Jordans, right? Like, who really
Right.
needs, right? But they created a space with whoever his team was to say everybody needs to be wearing these, and all of the other clothing that goes with it. He is someone that never accepted no. He never accepted failure, and every time he got knocked down, he got back up again and figured out another angle, another way to do it.
Which I think I like what you brought up about Michael Jordan, right? This is where all the stuff that he's done, a lot of that has to do with the team that surrounds him as well.
Yeah.
So whether the team was family, like his mom, or whether the team was someone that they chose
Mom's
and curated,
rule.
they sure do, right? We wouldn't be here without them.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of entrepreneurship has definitely expanded. Now there's very different types of entrepreneurs. There's a whole term called solopreneurs, right? They're a solopreneur until they become an entrepreneur, right? Until they bring a team on board and they get there. So there's so much stuff that goes into being an entrepreneur. And I know, Brian, you've got a very fascinating kind of backstory as to how you came up and what you started out with. Could you share a little bit about your first bout of entrepreneurship?
Sure. Kim said, I just tying to what Kim said. She said, an entrepreneur keeps pushing through. Tony Robbins, in his book, Think Big, wrote, what's the difference between somebody who makes $1 million and someone who doesn't make $1 million, right? The difference is the person who made the million just kept pushing until they got to $1 million. The other person stopped. They didn't realize that they could do it. And you do it, Jason, to your point, as a team. Let me take you guys back a little, like, to the 70s. Can I do that for a second?
Sure.
I would love it.
Let me take you back to the 70s. So somewhere...
Only if you bring bell bottoms, because I love me some bell bottoms.
Okay. So somewhere in the mid 70s, when I was a young kid with a paper route, I don't know if I was watching Kojak or Streets of San Francisco, a lot of these old shows, but somewhere I was influenced to become a business person. Now, today we call it entrepreneurship, but what I remember is a guy in a suit with a briefcase. That just fascinated me when I was young. And I said, I want to be that. I want to be a guy with a suit on, with a briefcase, going to work. And so that kind of was my thing. And so I had a paper route in the 70s, and my mother let me dress up in my little suit doing my paper route.
There's no way.
So I used to wear a suit.
Oh my
doing my
goodness.
paper route. And when the guy from the newspaper came to the house, because I had to go collect the money, so I delivered the paper Monday through Sunday, and on Sunday I had to go collect the money from my customers. And so I would come home, and then on Monday the guy from the newspaper would come, and he would say, 2 for us, 1 for you. Literally, it's change, right? Because people pay you in pennies and nickels and quarters. 2 for us, 1 for you. And that's how they did it. And that's how I got my money. So then my mother would take me to the bank with my little suit on, and I would make my little deposit.
That's amazing.
So that was the genesis of me wanting to be a business person. Now, I didn't know the word entrepreneur in the 70s. That word didn't exist, right? But I wanted to be a business person. And all through college and working, I just wanted to be a business person. And then my first mentor, name is Charles Stewart. What's up, Charles Stewart in St. Louis? He owned a restaurant that I worked with him all through high school. He was a business person. He was a CPA. His office was across the street, but he owned this ice cream restaurant. It was an ice cream, like a Friendlies, I guess.
Swenson's or Friendlies.
Yeah, like ice cream on the front, restaurant in the back, but it was a private thing he had, and it was in a cool spot in St. Louis, like Georgetown area. It's called the Central West End. It was a cool place, and so I worked there in high school. Like, I had swag. At least I thought I did. So it was cool. But I learned from him all kind of things, and he was a business person, and I really got inspired talking to him. And then I just knew when I went to college, I wanted to focus on business. And so I did, and I worked for Goodyear. Fast forward 14 years with Goodyear. So what made me jump into entrepreneurship, Jason, is after 14 wonderful years of Goodyear, I won Employee of the Year, and then and then 2 weeks later they were like, Mr. Hammond, thank you. Thank you for your service. Oh, I won Employee of the Year. Nah, thank you for your service. Well, Goodyear lost $1 billion, and then, they let a lot of people go, and I was one of them. And so I was like, what am I going to do? So my first piece was I joined my friend who owned a consulting company, avionics consulting firm, and he asked me to join him and help build his company. And that was my first time being in an entrepreneurial atmosphere.
Wow.
This guy was amazing. He had just graduated from University of Michigan School of Business, Ross School of Business, and we were trying to build this thing from scratch, and I was learning on the fly. It was amazing, and I saw what he was doing right, and there's some things I said I wouldn't do it that way, and I left him after the year and started my own company, consulting firm, kind of mimicking him, but not in avionics, just in business consulting, and that was my first launch. And I called the company Bedford, Lewis, and Ellicott. Bedford, because I wanted it to sound cool.
Right.
I wanted it to sound like a firm, and I didn't want it to be kind of the Hammond Group or
Right.
Brian's team. I wanted it to sound like, I wasn't associated with it. And so people were like, where did Bedford, Lewis, and Ellicott, where did that name come from? Well, my wife is from Bedford Heights, Ohio. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and my son is from Ellicott City, Maryland. So we took the Bedford, the Lewis, and the
Wow.
Ellicott, and we formed the company. So that's the name of my company.
That's
And then
amazing.
as we grew, my second employee said, we should call ourselves BLE, Bedford, Lewis, and Ellicott. BLE Training. I like that. So I went and snatched that name, and now we are the BLE Group. So we're Bedford, Lewis, and Ellicott doing business as BLE Training, right? So that's kind of how I got started. I was forced out with Goodyear after 14 wonderful years. Thank you, Goodyear. I still get a check every month. so I'm not mad at them. So yeah, that started my journey.
There's 3 lessons I heard in here, and Jason, I want to get to your story again a little bit too, because I mean, you did more by the time you were 9 than I think
Oh
I
my
have in
goodness.
my life, and it exhausts me.
Stop.
But the 3 things that I heard in there with it: 1, when you're an entrepreneur, the only way you're going to 100% guarantee you have a job is when you create the job, right? The position, when you create it, because a wonderful company that you helped make a lot of money, they helped you be successful. I'm sure they gave you great training. You learned a lot. Decided after whatever, all the years that so sorry, go enjoy your life, right? So the only way that you really are bulletproof from those things is being an entrepreneur and starting something for yourself. And nothing is guaranteed, but you have a lot better chance of keeping your position if you put in the work and you do it with it. So that's one. So entrepreneurs, the country runs on it. The country runs on. I mean, that's what America was founded on, is entrepreneurs and people that just had grit and determination. 2, you learned a lot from your mentor. You were learning on the fly. Most entrepreneurs are learning on the fly, right? They have an idea, they want to provide a solution, and they didn't have formal training. Whether you went to college, whether you only went through high school, whether you didn't finish high school, there aren't any classes in high school or most colleges or anything
That's
of
right.
just here's how you think like an entrepreneur, here's how you think like an owner, here's how you do that. So that learning and that being on the fly is great. You have to do it when you're getting, but at some point you need to get to the third thing I heard is surround yourself with a team that can help you better yourself, right? So in the case of your friend with the avionics business, he said, I'm going to lean on Brian. I don't know everything about this. I know that Brian is brilliant. He's got grit. He's got determination. I'm going to bring him aboard. And you were able to help him with things he couldn't see, right? And then you moved on from that. And then you were able to go start something. And we all in our life learn from what we see, what we hear.
Yeah.
And so I really invite everybody to be careful about what you're taking in and who you're surrounding yourselves with, because we could surround ourselves with Brian and Jason and hear positive things and hear about go get it and hear about Michael Jordan and how much better he is than LeBron
Oh, goodness.
and get all that wonderful information. Or you could be misled by somebody else. But surround yourself, whether it's what you're taking in your body, your mind, what you're reading, what you're hearing, who you're speaking with. If you are truly serious about becoming successful, and that doesn't mean you have to make $10 million, whatever your definition of success is, surround yourself with the people and the intake to get you there. Don't be surrounding yourselves with things that are not going to help you. And you have to be open to learning. One of the things I think that frustrate us most as coaches, people reach out, they want help, they know there's areas of their business themselves they need help, and then when we make suggestions or we look at the numbers and they say, "Oh no, we don't do it like that. We do it like this." Well, that's why you're where you're at. Like, are you serious about wanting more? Or do you want to keep doing it, right? But there was just so many business lessons in that 5-minute thing you said, Brian. I could just go on all day about it.
Right. I mean, one thing that we deal with a lot of automotive, so mostly auto repair shops, independent shops. And one thing that is one of the most common themes, most shop owners became shop owners because they didn't like what was going on where they worked. So they wanted to improve it. And that improvement usually is based not necessarily on the business side of it itself, but more along the customer experience, whether it's internal for the technicians or for the customer themselves, the external customers. So one thing that we often forget is when you go into business, the whole point of business is not to break even. And a lot of people forget that.
Can you say that again?
Once more for the people in the back.
Right.
Once more for the people in the back of the room.
Right.
Well, I mean, and there are some people that the break-even point, it does fluctuate. At some point, it does get higher as you start putting the cost that you have, your fixed costs and stuff like that. So the break-even point will extend, but that means that, yeah, you're making the money that you need to make for yourself. That's thrown into the fixed costs. Great. But now you don't have anything to grow the business. So if you're in the business to break even, that business is never going to grow any further than where it's at now.
Well, and also go backwards though, right? Because if you're just trying to maintain what you have and you're not putting anything else into it, you can't sustain where you're at without putting a little more effort. Like every year it takes a little more effort to maintain what you have.
Right. So you have to have growth. The whole point of business is to continue to grow. And not just for you. It could be for the community. It could be for your employees. You're not just feeding yourself. You're feeding a whole team, and you're also providing a service or a product to your community. So when it comes to growth, I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs kind of get sidetracked. You know, they get into the business for a specific reason, whether that was improving whatever they're offering or whatever that might be. They achieve that fairly quickly. I mean, let's be honest here. If you leave a shop to open up your own shop, you're going to start off on exactly fixing what you wanted to fix right off the bat. So you've already got to that point now within however long it takes, you fix that problem. Now, where are you going from here? So this is where the vision, this is where your mission, what are you trying to accomplish here? And I know, Brian, you've done quite a few things and you still have the BLE group of the training and all of that. What is one thing that you continue to strive for in your entrepreneurship journey?
Processes, right? Standard operating procedures and processes. That's one. Number two, I would say profitability. I love what you're talking about, Jason. Listen, you can't take care of your employees, your community, if you're breaking even, right? Like what are we talking about? Like our industry, for some reason, profit is a bad word. So it's a bad word in this industry. Like, now that's not for everybody. Some people understand it and move forward with it, but a lot of people struggle, and that's because we typically come from like small beginnings.
Humble,
right? A lot of us humble beginnings, right?
Right.
And we're a lot of us, and I think it's most Americans, right? We really come from humble beginnings. We pull ourselves up, whether it's through education or you work with your hands and you build a thing. We all really come from that. And you have to surround what you guys are talking about around. You have to surround yourself with people who have moved past that humble beginning, and it can show you how to take what you're building and affect the people around you. I say it's a three-legged stool, right? You have to be able to affect the business, your person, and your employees. And of course, you want to add another. When I say your business, that's your customer, right? You can't help people if you're broke. I mean, you can't, right? You can't help
Right.
people if you're broke. And process. And how do you do that consistently? One of the reasons why I can still have a company and come and play at ATI is because we have standard operating procedures. Another thing, it came to me. Okay, so you were talking, Jason, and I was listening. I said, okay, it's pivot. You have to hear a thing, and then you hear something, you got to pivot. You got to take action when you hear a thing that you know it to be true for yourself, and you got to do something with it. So 10 years ago, I was watching CNBC, and those people who know me, they know I read the Financial Times every day. I'm into business and strategy and finance and blah blah blah. Well, 10 years ago, I was watching CNBC, and they just kept reporting how companies had cash reserve, Apple and Micro, just cash. And I started thinking about myself, I don't have cash reserve in my company. Like, we don't have a stack of cash just sitting somewhere to use if an opportunity came. Like, we were using everything that was coming to the door. And 10 years ago, I don't even know it was 10 years ago, but we read Profit First, and that changed the game. And we started putting cash reserve aside in the company. And that really changed our game. That's why I can come and play, because I said, I want a company that we have cash reserve. It's not earmarked for anything. It's sitting there and is ready for the next opportunity for us to execute if something comes along and we're not having to go to a bank. And so anyway, pivot when you hear something that you know makes sense. So
Well, I like how you said the cash reserve, and I want to build off of the cash reserve as well. We've got a lot of tenure at ATI, whether it's our internal customers, so all of our wonderful team that we have here, or our actual members that we are consulting, coaching, and whatnot. And one thing that a lot of the tenured clients at ATI have come to see is, yes, they might have the cash reserve, but they also enjoy what they do, right? So one thing that they also have in the reserve is their time. So I have this shop that I coach. They're based out of Wisconsin. It's Gary Willis Auto and Service. So the owner, two of his sons are working in the shop, and they have grown to the point where they've pretty much taken over. But the owner was still part of the shop, and because he enjoyed it, so he was still coming in and whatnot. But then an opportunity came for him to go do something that he wanted to do. It had to do something with farming, and he wanted to do that. So he got up and left because he had that time reserve, not just the cash reserve, but he had the time reserve because he had all of the SOPs in place for his sons or whoever else on the team to handle the business. So similar to you, he was able to go and play on the farm like you came to play at ATI. And this is one of the things that we struggle with, because some people are so passionate about what they do that they do not think 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. They're thinking of what they can do to help now. And another thing that I love that you said, you can't help others and continue to grow if you're broke. Just can't. It doesn't work out. And sometimes, like you said, you have to pivot. And another thing I want to build off of that as well, I'm very big into content creation, and this is something I'm very guilty of. It plays not only with content creation, but also in the business side of things. When you have an idea and you have something that you feel there is a need in the marketplace or whatnot, if you have these cash reserves, if you have the time reserve, the point from when the idea comes into your mind to when you can execute on it is severely shortened. So now when something comes up, you see a need, you can fill that need very, very quickly. You could be first to the market. You can handle that. Now, when it comes into the content side of things, same concept. If you have an idea, I can guarantee you someone else has already had that idea.
Yeah.
They just haven't been able to execute on it. So when we reduce that time from idea to actual execution, that's where you're going to find a lot of success. And not only success, but you're also going to find failure. And the faster you fail, the faster you could continue to move forward.
I love that. I want to go back to the cash at your business, Brian. Don't worry, I'm not going to be asking how much cash is in there, but One of the things I think that scares people, or it just seems insurmountable, if you're struggling to make payroll, or you're just barely making ends meet, or maybe you're making ends meet with a couple grand left over, whatever, it seems insurmountable and inconceivable that you could one day have this cash stockpile that's not earmarked. And so can we talk a little bit about that, and what are the steps? I mean, you could start putting away $1 a week. I mean, I won't spend time teaching y'all about compound interest, and not even playing with the stock market or anything else if you use your money properly. But you got to start somewhere. And one of the things that frustrates me with people is they want to be an entrepreneur. They want to get out there. They want to get in front of things. They just wish they had, but they don't have the cash. But then when I sit in and work with them, they go every day. They have a latte. They have an iPhone. They have a this. They have a whatever car. They have a, how much do you want it? How important is your dream to you in your future? You have to start being serious and asking yourself, is it more important for me to have a flashy iPhone, or can I get a flip phone, or, a Cricket one from Walmart, and then put, another $30 away a month in the bank or whatever? You got to start. So
Yeah.
don't get hung up by, I'm never gonna be able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars or $50,000, whatever number that is, millions, whatever it is for you. Get with how can I start putting $5 away?
Yeah.
How can I start? Because time is the only non-renewable asset we have. You can always make money. You can always get a second job. You can always get whatever. You can never get that time back. So when you keep messing around and you don't have your priorities straight, because it's more important for you to have an iPhone or to have a whatever, on your car than it is for your dream and your future, then that's not a real dream, right? Like, you have to take inventory of yourself and see, like, what are you serious about this? And if you're not, don't waste everybody's time. We don't want to be hearing about all your dreams that you're not going to do anything with, because it's not important, like, get serious with it. But how do they start? How do you start building a cash reserve?
Yeah, the first thing you have to do is tell yourself, how much do you want to put aside and when, right? It has to be a SMART goal. How much do I want to put aside and when? And then what's realistic? To your point, it can start out small, and then you can incrementally up it as you grow. For me, after watching the CNBC kind of story, I said I want to initially put $50,000 away, and I want to do it in a year, right? So it's a commitment, and it's a struggle, because you want to do stuff, and it's like, I'm going to deny myself. And so I drove the same car for 15 years, right?
The
And
Volvo?
the Sequoia. I still have the
Oh, okay.
Volvo. I still have the
All
Volvo, but so I have a '98 Volvo that I drive at least once a week. But no, the Sequoia is old as dirt, but it's good to us, so we still drive it. But I'm saying we held on to that, to what Kim is saying. We held on to that stuff, and we just socked the money away, while we still taking care of the business bills and the household bills. We just stash instead of having that urge to go get that new car, because you know how it is when you want a new car, man. You just keep going until you get the car.
That new car smell is
Right.
there's that new car smell. It's
Right.
just
And then when you
something.
get it, you're like, I could have waited.
Yep, every time.
Right. So we just said 50,000 was our 365-day goal, and we just stashed it, and we got there, right? And then we've grown since then. But I'm just saying, we had a goal, and we just every time we got a little extra profit came in a month, we just said, okay, push it away. And then here's the key. We put it in an account that I had no debit card, I had no access to it, nothing, right? Like, I can't get to it. I would have to physically go to the bank to go get the money, and I'm not doing that. So that's the other thing. You can't be have some access to the cash, because you'll spend it, right? You'll spend it. Something will happen. I got this money over here.
Right.
No. That money is reserved. So anyway, that's what we did. We set a goal, and we just stashed it away, and we just kept our card. Now, once we start hitting those cash reserves, I went out and bought my new car.
So it's delayed, right? It's just
It's
delayed
delayed.
gratification.
That's right.
Which, that's a concept that a lot of people are not willing to accept. The delayed gratification. Everything is so accessible for us now. I mean, Amazon, right? You could buy cars on Amazon. You want a new car? Guess what? Hyundai has their whole new dealership on Amazon. But this is one thing I kind of want to relate to that as well, as far as the sacrifice goes. this is where, I'm not going to say my generation as a whole, but a lot of the younger crowd that is
Now,
exposed.
my generation's playing in my head. So thank you for that, Jason. And Who is a rock band from England, just in case you didn't know. But
I did not know. So, right.
Oh
Who?
my God! Wow, come on! You didn't know the Who? Wow!
I did not. Well, I will. Something else I got to look up today.
Okay.
All right, go. I'm sorry, Jason, for interrupting you, but now it's playing in my head, and I'm looking
Right.
at the time, going, "Oh my God!" All right, back to you, Jason.
But sacrifice. This is one thing that goes hand in hand with delayed gratification. If you've got a goal, that sacrifice becomes very easy. Now, if you have no direction, you don't have a goal, you don't know what, like the cash reserves, for example, what's the point of the cash reserve? Why do you want it? Right?
Yeah.
What is the why? If you don't have that, these goals become, or that sacrifice becomes meaningless. So the first time you want to go get something, you're going to dip into that cash reserve without any thought about it. So make sure you have your why. What's the goal? Where do you want to be? Why are you doing something? Everything has to have an intent. If it doesn't have an intent, it's going to become very easy to just get off path. And I'll give an example. I'll share one of my stories. So when I first opened my shop in Los Angeles, I had bought a box truck. I used to have a shop in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I bought a box truck, and this is how I was going to move my shop from Raleigh all the way to Los Angeles. So I packed the whole box truck up, got the lease for the shop in Los Angeles, and once we got there, we unloaded everything and all of that. But guess what? I didn't have a place to stay. So there was, in LA, rent is expensive. So my sacrifice was, because I was a full-time college student as well, I'm going to live in the box truck. I lived in the box truck for a whole year, sold the box truck, and then I was finally able to get another shop. So I was able to open up a second location because of that. But that was because, and I didn't have a why at that moment. I just didn't have a choice. So this is where sometimes things get blurred. If you don't have a choice, you're going to do things that are a sacrifice. But I would have much rather had the choice to make that sacrifice than not. So you can.
But you
set
had a
yourself
why,
up.
right? Because you wanted to finish college, you wanted
Right.
to have your business, you wanted to live in California. So really you did have a why when you think about it. And that's what people have to, what is it worth to you? What are you willing to sacrifice? Whether that's in a relationship, whether that's resolving a conflict, whether that's your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, all of that. What are you willing to sacrifice? And people today, Jason, to your point, are not willing. I just had a conversation with Jeff and Donna Hazeltine not too long ago, and they were talking to another shop owner, and they were like, "Oh, they want this or that, but there's buildings coming up, but they can't the down payment or something." And Donna said she was listening to them, and she's like, "They're driving a brand new this and a brand new that, and they're going on a trip to whatever in a couple of weeks, and they're going." She said, when the shop building came up that they had, Donna was 7 months pregnant. Jeff was working somewhere. They gave it all up, and they needed like $5,000 more. They sold their car. So they were all sharing a pickup truck and, put everything. But she said, they wanted that and they knew it was important for their future. And so they sacrificed. And she's just shocked when people today are like, "Oh no, we can't give up our Denali and our whatever and our trip to," and you really don't want that, right? You really don't want that. So that's the question I have. Want to invite our listeners and viewers, if you're watching us on YouTube, is what are you willing to sacrifice? Because if you truly want to be an entrepreneur and you want to provide all the things for your family and your community that you're seeing, what are you willing to give up? And that's a tough question. And a lot of people are not willing to give up anything.
So one of the things I share since I've been here and is this. Jason, you said it. When you first start, you start your company because maybe you work for a shop and you figured out you could do it better. You didn't really like the person you was working for. You felt you could do it better. So you hung your own shingles and you did your own thing and you started going. So one of the cool things about this industry is if you're good with your hands, you can make a whole lot of money, but not necessarily have the business acumen behind you. So as you are building a thing, to Kim's point, and what are you willing to give up? I would say this: you have to move from being a shop owner. At some point, you got to stop being a shop owner and become a business person. Because when you're just a shop owner, you do shop owner things, right? Well, when you become a business owner, you start looking at the business at a holistic level. You start looking at processes. You start working on the business and not just in the. You're a shop owner. You're just working in the. I own a shop, so I'm a technician. I own a shop. I'm only doing shop things. And I said, what are you willing to give up? Stop being a shop owner and become a business owner. And listen, just that mindset changes things.
I want to clarify real quick when you said if you're just a shop owner, and people are going to be like, what's wrong with being a shop owner? And I want to clarify that that's not what Brian meant.
Yeah,
We constantly every day speak to people and they go, oh no, I can't do that. I'm just a shop owner. I don't know what's in my P&L. I'm just a shop
Right.
owner.
Yeah,
No, I can't talk to my accountant. I'm just a shop owner.
Yeah.
So that's what Brian's referring to. Being a shop owner is amazing, and
It is amazing.
we love
Yeah.
it,
It is-
and we've
it's
all
amazing.
been them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'll get hate email. I'll get a hate email.
Yeah,
Brian.
no.
What's he talking about?
No,
Just a
no.
shop owner. I'm just a shop owner.
I'm a shop owner who thinks like a business owner, right?
Right.
Because
Stop saying I'm just a shop owner.
Exactly.
I'm just a whatever. I'm just a hairdresser. Whatever it is that you are, that is a trade. That is a something, and just got to think past that, like strategically, and that's what it is.
One thing I was going to say about the just a shop owner, just to anything, we've got so much information at our fingertips. I mean, whether you're on Google, ChatGPT, anything like that, you can become an accountant, a self-taught accountant, and you can become a very good self-taught accountant if you really use those resources. But one thing I did want to add before we kind of sign off here today is that you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to be a shop owner. And not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur or a shop owner or a business owner.
That's right.
Now, here is the cool thing that we have set up especially a lot of the ATI shops. The ATI shops, they have organizational charts for the most part, or at least they're starting to create them, where we have these positions where technically you can be a shop owner without actually being a shop owner. By that, I mean you can be a general manager. You don't have the risk associated with being the actual business owner. You're not, I mean, yes, you still have a lot of responsibility, but you're further away from that business ownership and all the other hassles that come with it. There are so many positions out there that you can be exactly what you want to be and not have to deal with the things that you don't want to deal with. So at the end of the day, you have to figure out, what do you want? And sometimes you just don't know what you want until you're put into that role or until you find what you don't want. So get out there and try things. Until you try it, until you put your mind to it, until you actually do the research, you learn. There's so much stuff out there. For example, this podcast. We have so many different people from different walks of life that we are always interviewing or just talking to. And you're getting all these experiences. And not just us. There's so many. I mean, anybody with a phone can make a podcast now. And they are. Some people shouldn't be, but they are. But it's another avenue of you getting to learn from someone else's experience. So expose yourself to a lot of this, no matter what position you're at right now. There's so much information, so much transparency, so much accessibility. You just have to put the effort to figure out what you want.
That's an excellent point. And when you think about and wrap in everything we've been speaking about, you can be whatever position you want in your organization because you can hire a team that can do the others. If you don't want to be, quote unquote, play the business owner part, hire somebody, hire a CEO. That's what a lot of companies do. If you want to work on cars because that's what you're passionate about and all you care about, hire somebody else to do the leadership and the staffing and hiring and whatever. But you need money for all of that. So when we talk about you need cash reserves, when you talk about profit, it's not to be greedy. It's not to be whatever. It's to be able to put you in a position of being able to do what you want with your life, with your family, and to have that security there that you can do that. You cannot do that without some sort of a reserve. But we have shop owners that right now that they come in and they open the gates in the morning and they talk to the customers and they go home. That's their job because that's the way they built the business. Brian built his business. He's working full-time at ATI. His business is happily going.
Right.
Jason, your business is happily going and you're over here at ATI helping people. So you can create whatever job you want at your business. if you get the proper team and the help and the coaching and the training, but you got to be open to the possibilities. But you have to know what you want, and you have to know what you're willing to give up to get it. You just have to.
Well said.
You guys are amazing, and thank you for the invitation. Right, thank you for that.
Brian, you're
invitations.
amazing.
I don't take invitations lightly, so thank you guys.
Well,
thank you, Brian, for coming and joining us.
Well, I'm surprised that Brian didn't wear a suit. So he could wear a suit to go deliver papers, but he couldn't wear a suit to our podcast. Come on.
What's up with that?
Well, hey, my first day at ATI, I had a jacket on, and Ron even met me at the door with some jeans and tennis shoes. So I'm like, okay, this is how we rock it. So they like, ditch the suit, Hammond. Okay. So there you go. I love it though. I love the atmosphere that we have at the company. And
Brian, don't let those haters downgrade you.
Right.
You are not getting anybody to not let me dress the way I dress.
No. I'm not wearing a suit, but I do dress. I know
that you do.
I'm just messing with you.
Here's a guy that Kim knows about my red pants. So, so no, this has been amazing. This has been fun. You guys are amazing. So, thank you for the invitation again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll get to do more of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, everybody. Stay safe and make good choices. And as always, just if there's one little thing you took from this, take it and apply it, and just think about your why and what are you willing to give in exchange for that. That's what I want to leave everybody with today. So, and Brian, of course, and Jason, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right,
Bye, everyone. Thanks.